A lot of Disney properties are shrouded in mystery. Why does the glass slipper only fit Cinderella? How can the genie make movie references from the future? But none are as mysterious as who actually yucked Goofy. A generation of people grew up with Goofy as a devoted father raising his boy Max and the adventures they go on. But naturally people ask, if Goofy had a son, where is the mother? It's widely accepted as being basically inconclusive. The nearest we've had to an official word is a now deleted guest services FAQ that says these are fictional characters with no real biographies and that there is no answer to this question. Pish! Pshaw! That's what a coward would say. I take these things way too seriously to stop at. It's just a cartoon, so shut up. The mystery is a goof. Our mission is top secret, so we need help with online privacy and security, which brings me to this video's top secret sponsor, NordVPN. Oh, I've blown the secret! NordVPN provides safe and secure virtual connections by encrypting your personal data, even if you're using a public Wi-Fi. So even if you're in an airport, those naughty planes will never see your browser history. It also protects you from hackers, viruses, and Peter McGillen. Who is Peter McGillen? You don't want to know. You can use it to change your connection to different countries. This means I can use websites from the UK, like Netflix, but while using a US VPN connection and access all the shows that are not available in my country. Like all 4 seasons of Shoe. It really picks up after the 2nd season. There's over 5,000 servers across 60 countries with unlimited bandwidth and fast connections. If you click the unique URL in the description below with the promo code Eddache, you save 70% for a 3-year plan plus get 1 month completely free. And to keep all this secret, this message will self-destruct with self-destructive behaviors. I'm gonna check my Twitter indirects. No! But first, we need to do a background check on Goofy, and to help me, I turn to Disney nerd and Disney geek, KP.
Welcome to the cartoon history. Welcome to the cartoon history party. We have meetings on Thursdays with donuts and coffee. Membership is $2,000 a month and your creative integrity. Developed by artist and animator Art Babbitt, Goofy first appeared in Mickey's Review in 1932, where he first appeared as Dippy Dog.
Is that why Goofy and Pluto coexist? Because one's a dog and one's a dog?
Would it make you happy if I said yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes!
Goofy continued to appear in a handful of other Mickey shorts until breaking out on his own in 1937. Goofy's original voice actor, Pinto Kovig, temporarily left Disney. I could not figure out why, so I just gave up. So as a workaround, they use a narrator-only format, with some archive recordings that highlighted Goofy's slapstick humor that was popular in the early age of cinema.
Nobody takes a wallop like Goofy.
This gave birth to the How To series in the 1950s, in which Goofy was repurposed for a family slice-of-life series called Goofy the Everyman, that features shorts and concepts like getting over a cold, dieting, and normal aspects of suburban life. Goofy had a wife and son, but the wife character was curiously never seen in frame. Think Miss Bellum from the Powerpuff Girls. And the son isn't the same as Max, unless Max got his hair dyed when he was older.
We've all made mistakes.
Something interesting to note is that Goofy was renamed George O'Keefe, and that his character design in the series was also distinctly different. So you can argue that this was just a Goofy lookalike, and not Goofy himself. But this seems to be where the Goofy the Dad concept originated. The only thing really to note is there seems to be a running gag in Father's Day Off, where the milkman, the grocer, and the Macy's salesman greet the assumed at-home wife of Goofy/George with a kiss. So that has a ton of implications on its own. Thanks 1950s. Maybe the mother character left Goofy, and this is a sore subject for him.
And then he died.
And then wait, what?
Goofy basically faded from the public eye until Mickey's Christmas Carol in 1983, where he came back as a ghost.
He was playing the ghost of Jacob Marley.
And then Mickey's son died.
Eddie, no!
This leads us to the main offender, Goof Troop from 1992.
We are the sound of the 90s.
It essentially rebooted or reincarnated Goofy into a Disney-fied sitcom. Think of it like Disney's version of The Simpsons before Disney eventually owned The Simpsons and everything else. You've got Goofy and his son Max living next door to Pete with his wife Peg and their kids PJ and Pistol. Essentially a vehicle to bring Goofy back into the limelight, it began life as Goofy Troopers, about Goofy leading a scout club, then he was a detective, a fire captain, a taxi driver.
He's like Barbie.
He is like a Barbie. But it was clear no one knew what to do with him. These ideas either limited the scope of the comedic situations or put the Goofy character into an already goofy world and goofy situations, which means he's not the goofy one anymore. As learned from the domestic nature of the How To series, Goofy works best as being the toony element of a real-world situation. So, he became a dad. Other elements of Goofy's How To history were brought across. The How To style of narration is a recurring motif.
How to paint.
Goofy's name is canonically GG Goof, which seems to be a nod to George Keith.
Mr. GG Goof.
And of course, there's Max.
But Max is distinctly not Goofy Jr. though, right?
Probably not the literal same character, but it does appear to be Max's name.
Who's this?
Goofy Jr., ma'am.
Here's his son, Goofy Jr., or Max as he likes to be called.
So his full name is Goofy Jr. Maximilian Goof? That's a stupid name.
Your channel is called ILoveKimPossibleAlot.
Shut up, Mom!
Either way, I think it's fair to call Max a reboot or spiritual successor of Goofy Jr. rather than being either the same character or a descendant of him. But the mystery remains. What happened to Mrs. Goofy? If we accept that Goof Troop is essentially a full reboot of Goofy lore, where is Max's mother in all this?
Maybe she's dead. Many Disney movies and characters either have one or both of the parents die or just not present throughout the movie, either as a plot device or because the story simply doesn't need them.
Ah, yes, the dead mother theory. That would seem to be the obvious one. In fact, during the development of Goof Troop, there was concept art for a Mrs. Goofy, and a backstory that says she died while Goofy was trying to take her photo at the Grand Canyon and asked her to step back a little.
Jesus, more like Oof Troop.
This is from the production Bible, so we could argue that this is confirmation from the show's creators that this is what happened. She fell in the Grand Canyon and died. The guilt weighing on Goofy as he hears her final Yahoo! Echoing in his ears. But while this might have been a grim consideration, this isn't canon. There's other elements in this Bible that never made it into the show, like a Grandpa Goofy as a recurring character, so it's clear that this is an early version that was subsequently scrapped and rewritten. And for something to be canon, it should be mentioned or at least implied in-universe within the show itself. So, are there any canonical in-universe references to Mrs. Goofy, aka the wife of Goofy, aka the mother of Max, at all in Goof Troop? That is our investigation.
But there's like 78 episodes of Goof Troop. Who's gonna watch them all?
So I watched all 78 episodes of Goof Troop.
God damn it.
First, let's get this out the way. At no point does Goofy tell Max that his mother is up there with the stars. It doesn't happen in the series or the movies. This is a false memory, a kind of Mandela effect, and seemingly stemming from a false Wikipedia edit. Goofy as a series doesn't really do that Simpsons thing of sympathetic or emotional beats. There's no moments of poignancy while sitting on a car. Those are saved for the movie. Heartfelt moments in the show are rare because it's more light-hearted and inconsequential. It's an animated sitcom where ultimately nothing changes, and that's fine. It was designed to be a kid-friendly time waste for a Disney afternoon. It definitely has its fun moments and witty lines.
It's not that I'm afraid to die. I just don't want to be there when it happens.
And in places, the animation is downright gorgeous and full of character. But it's certainly not a show that was designed for binging. And this is further compounded by Disney Plus and its habit of just putting episodes in whatever order. For example, the first episode is of Goofy and Max moving in, but
I checked the TV schedule and it's a two-parter.
And where is part 2? There. Episode 34.
Hashtag Disney Plus fix Goof Troop.
That aside, here's everything I learned from Goof Troop. The history and lore is generally kept very loose, which makes things inconsistent.
I hate dogs.
But you are a dog! For example, the first episode has Goofy and Max move from a trailer park to a house in Spoonerville and establishes that Goofy grew up in the area and Max didn't.
My old hometown. Let me give you the 10-cent tour.
And yet, Max apparently had a job at the golf park before?
And here's where Max got his first job at age 6.
And Goofy has entered a bathtub race every year for 10 years with the same bathtub in the house he's only just moved into? It's also hard to tell, tonally, what plane of reality this occupies, because you've got episodes with living fire trucks, dinosaurs, and Pete turning into a fly, and then you have real-world elements within the Goofy world, like...
Max, maybe we ought to try something cheaper, like skydiving off the Trump Tower?
The implied existence of a goofified Trump is terrifying, but at least the whole thing might be just the dream of a magical trumpet. In whatever heightened reality Goof Troop exists in, Mrs. Goofy is never mentioned at any point. She doesn't appear in any photo album, and the framed photos in the house are just shapes other than this one vaguely feminine portrait. In fact, it feels more like there never was a Mrs. Goofy. Exhibit A! In the episode Date with Destiny, it's acknowledged that Max is a single parent.
Oh, yes, your father. You're an awful lot to handle alone.
And Max lies about Goofy getting married.
A wife? Gosh, I thought we were doing fine on our own, Maxie, but if you want a mom...
Even Pete, who has canonically known Goofy since high school, finds the notion of Goofy actually getting married ridiculous.
Goofy with a wife? I can't stand it, somebody.
This heavily implies that Goofy never got married. They never say remarried or stepmom, it's just like she wasn't there. The impression I get is that Disney is purposely avoiding giving Goofy a backstory by not mentioning past relationships.
You were magnificent. Was I really?
better than Goofy.
But in doing so, it now implies a different history. Like, did Goofy have a partner who left their lives shortly after Max was born, only to be never mentioned again?
Taking a bribe.
But I don't want to get married.
Bribe, yep.
But family is important to Goofy, either through the family album or seeing relatives. It just doesn't make sense that they never talk about her. Unless she wasn't there to begin with.
Maybe Max was adopted?
Objection!
Yeah.
The big goofy kid's your dad?
Only by blood.
Max is definitely Goofy's biological child. This is part of the plot of a Goofy movie, the follow-up to the series, where Max has nightmares about turning into his father and gets embarrassed when he chuckles like him. And it's this conflict that drives the movie forward.
And in an extremely Goofy movie, we get hints that Goofy has had Max since he was in diapers. And there's some meta humor.
Do you ever wonder why we're always, wearing gloves?
But that's about it as far as any hints about Max's lineage. Goofy also gets a love interest, but she seems like kind of a bonus? Max doesn't even seem bothered by this and thinks it's great that his dad has a life.
The Gammas don't keep my dad out of our hair. His new girlfriend will.
This rabbit hole goes all the way to the top. Maybe we're looking at this wrong. Maybe we need to find out where babies come from.
Eddie, don't you have a son?
In the episode And Baby Makes Free, Peg leaves promising to come home with a surprise, which after a series of miscommunication, everyone is convinced is going to be a baby, including Pete.
Your mom's coming home with a baby!
Pete is demonstrated to be bad at communication and fails to notice what goes on in the family.
You're in what, third grade, fourth,
sixth?
But surely he would notice a pregnancy, right? Pregnancy does seem to exist in this universe.
But it will take a month.
Well, that ain't long. PJ and Pistol took 9.
You see, my mother, who was pregnant at the time.
And instead of joining Peg at the hospital, Pete stays at home to build a nursery. Then the kids have this elaborate plan to disguise PJ as the baby and leave it on the doorstep for Pete to find. Generally speaking, Pete's behavior throughout this is not what you would expect a father to do.
Even if Pete had managed to not notice his wife's pregnancy, it's strange that he doesn't go with her for the birth. And even if it's a surrogate child, he just accepts his doorstep delivery. Is this normal for him? Do children in this world just suddenly turn up?
Dumbo!
What?
In the movie Dumbo, there is no dad character. There wasn't a Mr. Jumbo for Mrs. Jumbo. Dumbo just turned up. And do you know how?
Storks?
Storks! Disney has historically used storks as a shorthand for cartoon characters doing the nasty. No one wants to see Donald fuck. Unless you're me.
I'm going on record as saying I would fuck a duck.
Storks bringing babies seems to have origins in Greek myth and German folklore, but was popularized in the Victorian era thanks to Hans Christian Andersen, aka...
some new Danish author.
In his fable, imaginatively titled The Storks, he says storks retrieve babies from ponds and deliver them to deserving parents, and the parents of naughty children will have a dead baby delivered to them as a warning.
Jesus, Hans, what's your damage?
And just wait until you hear the original ending of A Little Mermaid, where they drag Prince Eric into the sea and eat his face.
But okay, there are no storks in Goof Troop, Eddie.
But the absence of a partner for Goofy and the very notion of it being laughable, it's always just been the two of them, the way the babies just arrive in their lives, and it allows for a single parent to still have a baby. That's stork logic through and through.
But storks would mean Max is adopted, right?
Not necessarily. In stork logic, technically everyone in the whole world is adopted, so there must still be biological children, otherwise every child would be radically different to their parents.
Hey, honey! Our baby's here! He looks just like your boss.
But what about the 9 months of pregnancy thing?
Fine. It would be easy to wave these things off as just part of the show's recurring inconsistencies and warping of reality, but there is no correct answer, okay? Storks makes just as much sense as Max's mother being dead or him being adopted or anything else, really. It defies logic. It's inconclusive. It's
Goofy?
It's Goofy. It's Goofy! KP, you're a loose cannon genius!
What?
In a Goofy movie, we see Goofy coded as both a mother and a father figure. So maybe the answer, he's both! He raised Max all by himself from birth, and a mysterious Mrs. Goofy has seemingly never been part of the equation, so in a way, Goofy is the mother! And the father! I rest this case wide open!
Okay, look. Following the Goofy movies and some minor appearances in some Christmas shorts, Max basically left the Disney canon as focus was shifted to making Goofy a solo act again, but the references have been slowly creeping back in. That's one thing you can blame on millennials. I believe if Goof Troop was remade for a modern audience, Max's mom would be addressed in a similar manner as Della Duck from the 2017 version of DuckTales. It would be great to address Goofy as a divorced dad or a widower, and that would be a great humanizing aspect, which children's media is starting to do. But I guess for now, it remains a mystery.
Oh, KP, are you still on that silly Mrs. Goofy mystery? Get over it. The real mystery now is, how does CatDog poop?
No! I'm out!
One fine day with a woof and a purr.
So I just want to give a shout out to KP from ILoveKimPossibleAlot and her team for joining me in this video. This was a really fun collab. It got a bit crazy, but you know, it was fun. So go check out the stuff on her channel. Despite the name, it's not exclusively Kim Possible related. There's a bunch of videos all about cartoons, animation, and it's all that good stuff. And if you like what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon.